Welcome back, America. We're here with Congressman Barry Loudermilk, who is really committed to a selfless effort because he knows he's going to be hated by the media and virtually everybody else. And what is he doing? He's been tasked with the job of taking a look at what the January 6th committee did because they don't want the same mistakes to happen with Capitol Hill security and that sort of thing. But almost by accident, they found out that the Democrats on the committee, as well as the two never-Trumpers, also under the tutelage of Nancy Pelosi, destroyed massive amounts of video depositions, of data, encrypted what they couldn't get rid of. Barry Loudermilk, welcome to the program. It almost sounds like they were in a frenzy, a desperate frenzy, when the Republicans won the election to cover their tracks. What was going on here? What did you find?
Well, we're trying to figure out what was going on, Mark. But look, when the select committee ended at I think January 2nd was their last day as an official committee because the Republicans became the majority on January the 3rd. On January the 2nd, we do know that they deleted some data from a hard drive, but what they were supposed to be doing is archiving everything that they had accumulated, all the transcripts of their interviews, their hearings, all the data that they had compiled during this time of running their select committee, and that was to be handed over to the clerk, which was to be handed over to my committee. What we received were boxes of printed documents, over 1 million pages of printed depositions and subpoenas and such. We received a couple of terabytes of digital data. Now, we expected, according to the chairman of the select committee, Benny Thompson, is they had 4 terabytes of data. But nothing was categorized. Nothing was cataloged. It was just thrown in boxes. So it took us a while to figure out what we had. Then we started figuring out we didn't have everything. The first indication we received was when I got a call from one of the attorneys that represented someone who testified before the committee, and he wanted to review one of the videotapes of their depositions. Well, we started looking for it and realized we did not have any videotapes of the depositions. They just were not there. I contacted Chairman Benny Thompson in a letter, and he acknowledged they decided not to keep those, which then started us questioning what else do we not have. And as we dug deeper, we realized we had depositions from people at the White House that were with President Trump that they were deposed, but we did not have their transcripts. We didn't have the written transcripts. Obviously, we didn't have the videos. We didn't have the transcripts of the Secret Service agents that were with President Trump. And then we started seeing, well, maybe there's a trend here. It's anyone who gave a deposition that may be contrary to the one that Cassidy Hutchinson gave of actions of Trump. It was unusual that those were the ones that we didn't have. Then we honed in on, this idea that there were 4 terabytes of data, but we had less than 3 terabytes of data. So we hired a forensics company, third party, commercial company, handed them the hard drives that the select committee handed over to my committee, and had them do low-level scraping. And they were able to recover several hundred documents that had been deleted or hidden. Now, some of those were digital copies of documents that we already had. But there were over 100, I think about 111, unique documents that were nothing like we had based on their title and based on their timestamp. And furthermore, they were password encrypted where we could not get into them. So this was the something that was truly amazing is some of these documents were literally deleted the days before Republicans took control of the House. So this raises suspicion. Now, were they destroyed? I don't know. All I know is these documents are missing. I assume all the video evidence, all the videotapes were disposed of because we don't have them and no one acknowledges that they exist anymore. So as we're going along, we're finding out that there is a significant amount of information, significant number of documents and videos that we do not have that the Select Committee was supposed to preserve because they're official House documents. We do know that some of those were sent to the White House and sent to DHS instead of being archived here, which we're working on retrieving those as we speak.
Wow. I've got a lot of questions for you and only a little bit of time. When we come back, Congressman, my first question is, are you getting any assistance from the former members of that committee? My second question is, are you getting any assistance from the rather extensive staffers that used to work for that committee? My third question is, will these people, at least some of them, be put under oath or at least be compelled to testify as to what they did? And then fourthly, when we return, what about all the defendants? What about Donald Trump? Some of this material might be exculpatory. And then, of course, the American people. You know, we're supposed to circle January 6th on our calendar as the day of the great insurrection. And what we have here is a massive cover-up, a massive scandal that obviously the rest of the media don't give a damn about, but I give a damn about, and so do millions of American people. We have a Nancy Pelosi, Stalinist-like committee that is cherry-picking witnesses, cherry-picking video that they're going to keep, cherry-picking documents, giving documents to the White House, giving documents to the prosecutors, giving documents to DHS, but destroying documents and covering up documents that they don't want you to have. Now, that's my summation. When we come back, I'd like you to address it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, America. I mean, Congressman, the American people don't really know what happened on January 6th, do they? And are you going to be able to get to the bottom of this using now the majority power of this committee? If you have to subpoena, if you have to put people under oath, public testimony, depositions, will you go that far to get to the bottom of this?
We will, and I'll give the shout out to the Speaker Mike Johnson, who I met with on Friday. I give him regular updates of where we are, and he is committed to give us all the resources and the ability to use every tool in our toolbox to get to the truth, because the American people deserve to know the truth. And we've been taking this from an unbiased approach. I just want to know what the truth is, good, bad, or ugly. The American people deserve to know the truth. And we need to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. But you're not going to be able to get to that if you're dealing with a cherry-picked investigation, or an investigation, as you said, cherry-picked the narrative that fits what they wanted the American people to hear. They had a preconceived narrative, and all they did was take all of the evidence, they preserved the evidence that supported their narrative. And some of the members of the committee are responding to what we're doing right now by saying there are no missing documents. Everything is actually published on the government printing office's website. If you go to their website, you can see the report.
They want to declare under penalty of perjury that you have everything, then let them put their asses in the chair and say that on the record under penalty of perjury. Every single one of them. Liz Cheney, Kinzinger, Jamie Raskin. Fine, you have your opportunity to say it, so make them put it on a record.
And we may be going in that direction. We're going to be making subpoenas. We're going to be having hearings. We're going to put some people under oath. But the interesting thing is, every time that they post something, they'll post this government publishing office website, and they'll say, see, all of the documents are here. But if you look at the documents, the link says supporting documents. What they've put out there are the documents that supported their preconceived narrative. We want all the documents. We want the documents that don't necessarily support their narrative. That's what the American people need to say. They were very, very crafty in what they were doing. Yes, they had evidence of things that happened, but not all the evidence. And so we deserve to get all the evidence. That's what we're looking for. Yesterday was the deadline for the White House and the Department of Homeland Security to provide all of the documents that are House documents. These are House documents that were sent to them. They're not executive branch. They belong to the House. They need to be returned to the House. This is the second round of letters I've sent to them. The White House got to us at the 11th hour last night and said, give us another week and we'll have something to you. What I've asked for is complete unredacted records. All that takes is emailing them or putting them in an envelope and delivering them to the Capitol. You don't need a week. What they want to do is go and try to unredact portions, but redact other portions. You see, they sent me the 4 transcripts we asked for before, but they were so heavily redacted, Mark, there were multiple pages that were totally blacked out.
Let me get this straight. They're the documents that belong to the House of Representatives. They were given to the White House. First, you're having to pull teeth to get the documents back. Now they're redacting your documents that belong, and they charge Donald Trump with, handling documents in ways that he's not supposed to handle. And speaking of that, Donald Trump's lawyers, if memory is correct, went to Judge Trunkin and said, we need access to the information the January 6th committee had. There could be exculpatory information there, given the fact that the prosecutor keeps accusing Trump, even though he charges him with the Klan Act, but he keeps accusing Trump of helping to stir up violence. So I would ask you this. Can we not assume this is a massive cover-up? Who goes to the extent of destroying, encrypting documents, saying you have everything we need and so forth and so on, if they're not covering up something? Could they also be covering up for Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat leadership on January 6th and what they did and didn't do?
Oh, absolutely. And I can't speculate of where all this goes, but I can tell you from the investigative work we've done so far, the people that we have brought in for transcribed interviews, the multiple interviews that we've done with people who were there, there is a tie between key elements in securing the Capitol and the Democrat leadership that goes way back. Now, we know that there was an intelligence failure. We know that the Capitol Police Intelligence Division received the same intelligence that was briefed to Donald Trump when Donald Trump ordered the National Guard to be ready to deploy. He did that a few days before. We have the documents of that he asked for 10,000 troops to be made available. This same intelligence that was given to the White House, that the FBI had, the Department of Homeland Security had, was given to the Capitol Police Intelligence Division. However, that intelligence was suppressed. The chief of police son was never briefed on this level of intelligence before. And we do know that there was a connection into Democrat leadership, and we believe they possibly did know about it.
So when we circle January 6th on the calendar, for some of us, I think it's going to be the day that was the biggest cover-up in modern American history led by the Democrat Party. Because you don't destroy documents, things don't go missing, you don't encrypt things, you don't redact things, you don't do all those things because the party opposite's coming in unless you have a hell of a lot to cover up. So, Congressman, we're going to stick with you. You'll now be on every show, I can promise you that. We're going to stick with you here, Barry Loudermilk, because we want to keep watch of this and find out what you come up with. I want to thank you very, very much for what you're doing. God bless you, my friend.
Well, God bless you. It's been an honor to be with you, and I look forward to future times. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Welcome back, America. I want to spend the short amount of time we have left directing a question to Joe Biden. I hear you want to run on democracy. Well, when you run on democracy, Mr. Biden, will you remind the American people how you opposed integrating our public school system? Will you remind the American people that you called Robert Byrd, who founded the Klan in West Virginia, James Eastland and John Stennis, two of the biggest racist segregationists in the history of the Senate, who filibustered the 1964 Civil Rights Act, that you befriended them and they became friends with you? When you discuss democracy, will you remind the American people of your relationship with George Wallace? That George Wallace praised you as a young politician, and when you were campaigning the other 130 times you're running for president, and when you were campaigning in the South, you waved that like a badge of honor. Will you remind the American people who Joe Biden is? No, you won't. So I will. I'll see you next time on Life, Liberty, and Levin.